America seems split into two different nations, according to a recent poll by The Atlantic and the Public Religion Research Institute. The poll appeared in a story in The Atlantic called "One Country, Two Radically Different Narratives." And this poll reveals major differences in the way Republicans and Democrats view the trajectory of our country. For example, when asked if wealthy individuals and corporations were a problem for American democracy, 42% of Republicans said yes, 82% of Democrats. 30% of Republicans believe America is on the wrong track versus 91% of Democrats. Meanwhile, when it came to the media, 81% of Republicans said it was a major problem for America's electoral system, compared to just 41% of Democrats. So are we living in a divided America? Let's ask our political panel. Scottie Nell Hughes is a Republican grassroots strategist, and Robert Patillo is a civil rights attorney and radio host. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Scottie Nell and Robert, in that order, is America divided? And if so, how do we get this way?
Absolutely, America's divided, but this is nothing new, Holland. This is how it's always been. This is what politics does. There's always going to be two sides to every issue. The reason, however, I believe, though, it seems to be more divided now is just because we're more connected now than ever. We have the opportunity to interact with each other and have these discussions back and forth, whether it be in face or whether it be anonymously, and that's allowing people to be this kind of negative and allowed it to spread. So, yes, I do believe we are divided. We've always been divided. However, now we just have more chances to continue to throw out and get at each other and continue the feud rather than trying to ratchet it down.
Robert, she makes an interesting point about the social media. The volume and velocity is amped way up post-internet than pre-internet, correct?
Well, yes, the internet has hyped it up, but let's understand, we had a civil war before. So this nation has been divided for a long time, and we've had far darker periods. I think what we have to understand is that there's a vested interest in one class of the corporate class in this country that wants to keep Americans divided. Most people grow up in communities. You have friends, neighbors that you spend your entire life with, and you agree on most things. But then when you get into the political process, that's when people separate. So the same people you're friends with, you spend time with, you've lived your whole life with, are also on an enemy team. We have to get out of the tribalistic aspects of American society and return to a point where if we agree on subjects, do the things we agree on first and then fight about everything else later.
Scottie Nell, how much do you think who happens to be president is driving these poll numbers?
Well, I think, but we saw divided America under President Obama, divided America under President Bush. I think the issue is about truth. I think the problem is right now is there's so many different folks saying that they're telling the truth, and yet they're not actually producing the facts to back that up or producing the evidence to see it. I think America could be united if we were actually given the full circle and we were actually told by far that this is the entire picture. But right now, because there is so much mistrust in the media, and it's because we just don't know what is the truth anymore that's being told to us and if we're actually being given the truth. So, yes, I do believe that it's not whoever just is president. I think it's across the board. And it is our job, especially in the media, to question the actions of those in office. But in the end result needs to see the truth. And that, unfortunately, is something that we haven't seen for a long time being presented.
Robert, we really do now get to choose our news. If you don't like what they're saying on this channel, you can watch that channel. Are we more interested in affirmation than information these days?
Oh, absolutely. People, it's biased confirmation in news. If you turn to one channel and they're saying something you disagree with, then you switch to the other channel that you agree with. There is no objective truth anymore. And one thing I think that's changed in this current administration is there's no longer an effort to bridge the gap. It's more so calcifying the polls instead of trying to bridge it. Remember, Obama started off by saying there's no red America, no blue America, just the United States of America. George Bush said, I'm a uniter, not a divider, and a compassionate conservative. Trumpism has been more so a calcification of saying they're good guys and the bad guys. Don't trust the other guys. The media is the enemy of America. The Democrats are just obstructionists. It's more so almost an athletic team aspect of it, that this is your mascot, this is who you support, this is who you believe in, and there's no point in even talking to or working with the other side, and that can't stand for too long.
That's an interesting analogy.
Holland.
Go ahead, Scottie.
Well, Holland, you know, and I, with all due respect to my counterpart there, you've got to be joking me. I mean, that's why how we've gotten to this situation is because you've had people like President Obama go on and say there's no red state and blue state, and yet his policies were extremely partisan. And so at least President Trump's calling it for what it is. The reason why President Trump was elected was because he was an outsider and people didn't trust what politicians were saying. You know, President Obama's under his administration, conservative medias like the Daily Caller, like Breitbart, like other publications were never allowed into the White House, or were never allowed into the White House briefings. At least President Trump is still keeping all of those left-wing newspapers still in the White House press briefing rooms. So once again, this is all about transparency. This is all about truth being shown. And I think President Trump is being dealt with the situation that he was handed by the previous administrations.
Robert, go ahead.
Well, Scott, if you say that Obama was partisan, he passed a Republican health care bill, he continued George Bush's military policies, he continued a conservative economic policy, he didn't pass any actual liberal legislation. That's why liberals were disappointed in President Obama. What Trump has done is push a ultra-partisan idea of what America is, that you can't even talk to or work with the Democrats. They're the actual enemy, the Democrats, and the media is the enemy. That's way different than what Obama did.
Don't try to pin Obamacare on the Republicans. I mean, there's a reason why it's called Obamacare.
It was Romney Care.
He took out Romney Care, scribbled out Romney, put Obama on it.
I have a feeling we're not going to settle this tonight, but I appreciate the conversation. Scottie Nell Hughes and Robert Patillo, thanks for being with us.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.